Well, hello, everyone. Welcome to MentalShift, and my name is Michelle Moras. Thank you for finding us, and if you shared this, thank whoever told you to watch or listen because they're awesome. You've reached MentalShift, and on MentalShift, what we do is we bring on people who have had mental shifts in their lives, be it small or big, whatever it is, where they've been doing one thing, and then when you went, you know what? This is what I really want to do. And they shift to another gear. And so oftentimes that they're giving back to society, and it's just a beautiful thing. And one of these people, I accidentally met her at one of my boot camps. I think it was my speaker boot camp. And we clicked immediately. Well, one, we're both tiny people. We're both under tall, let's say that. But we're both. But she's also a hurricane mixed with sunshine. That's how my husband describes me, and that's how I describe you. And please welcome. Well, let me do a drum roll. She's a professional figure skater. She's a peak performance expert, and I can tell you that because she's been as a professional figure skater. She's been skating since she was 5, and here's the thing: she's an amazing woman. She's a speaker. She's an author. She's a fitness expert because I was watching her do some exercises and trying to keep track with her, and I couldn't do it. And she's amazing. So please welcome my friend and just an amazing out-rounded, amazing human powerhouse, Val Jones. Val, thank you for joining me.
Oh, Michelle, thank you for having me. I have been looking forward to this moment since February when I met you in the speaker boot camp. So I am so excited to be here.
And I'm giggling because I'm like, oh my gosh, it's Val. She's so awesome. We're fangirling on each other, huh?
We are. It's okay. It's all good.
Well, if you're listening and you're not watching right now, you'll be seeing a scrolling of Val's website. So I'm going to spell it out to you right now. You're going to want to look her up. It's www.val, V-A-L, Jones, Jones, speaks, SPEAKS.com. Val Jones Speaks. And if you're on Facebook and you want to connect with her, go to Val Jones Speaker. And then that way you can connect with her because really, I'm serious. When you hear her story and you hear the amount of dedication this woman has and how she's just the chutzpah that she's got, you're going to want to connect with her because it's that kind of drive that so many of us need in our worlds in order to succeed as entrepreneurs or whatever business we're in. And so that's why I was excited that you wanted to come onto my show because you've got so much going. One, you've got your free quarterly magazine that they can just get on your website, right? Yep. And the other thing is you've got a book coming out, but I won't mess with you on that because it doesn't come out until the fall, and I promise I'm going to bring you onto the show again.
Awesome.
So let's go to why I really wanted you on the show. 1, you're awesome. 2, you're a professional skater. I mean, who in the world does that, and how many of you in the world? So I know you started skating at 5. So can you tell us a little bit of a story about what got you into professional figure skating? Because that will lead to a lot of other questions.
Absolutely. So you have to know I'm the youngest of 7. And we were all very, very competitive. All of us kids played sports. And when I was 5, and this is in the 70s, so you can imagine taking that big a family out to do something was very costly, and we were just middle class American family. And my dad was a semi-professional hockey player. So he had a love for the ice. And on this particular day, a brand new ice rink opened about 5 minutes from our house. And Dad said, hey, I want to take you kids ice skating and introduce you to the ice because I love the ice. And so we went and we did and we skated. And my poor parents, what was such an innocent family outing, I don't think that they were ever prepared for what it blew up to be. But the first time I put my skates on, I just instantly fell in love with it. A few months later, in the winter, I watched Dorothy Hamill capture her gold in Innsbruck, 1976, and just, you know, all the things, Michelle, the spins, the jumps, the dress, the hair. I mean, women of a certain age, you know what I'm talking about. We all had that haircut, all of us. And that kind of cemented like, okay, that is what I want to do. I don't want to do anything else. And so it kind of took off from there. By that fall, at 6 years old, I was training 6 hours a day, 6 days a week, 3 hours in the morning before school, 3 hours in the afternoon after school. That's not, I would say, normative for a 6 years old. But that was where I wanted to be. That's what I wanted to do. I didn't want to do anything else. I had incredibly supportive parents. They didn't make me skate. They were just supportive.
Yeah.
By age 11, my folks sat me down and was like, you know, how serious about giving your shot at the Olympics are you? Because we either need to go further, you know, or what. So we had that conversation, and it was decided that my mom and I would move from our family home in Sacramento, and we got a teeny tiny studio apartment in the Bay Area so that I could be coached by some national and Olympic level coaches. And it just so happens that I got to train with Brian Boitano and his coach. And so there I was. I had all the things. Mom and I would drive after practice on Friday night. We would drive back to Sacramento. It was about, you know, 2.5 hour drive depending on traffic. And then so that we could be with my dad and my siblings, whoever, you know, being the youngest, they're older than me, so they were always coming and going. And then on Sunday night, we would go back to the Bay Area. And we did that. We did that for nearly 3 years.
Whoa.
Until one Friday night, we came home and my dad wasn't feeling well. And unfortunately, he had a massive heart attack and died. And so that was a very pivotal point in my life. First of all, I was only 13. My dad was only 50. That was a very difficult thing. And I almost quit skating.
I bet. That's
because I love my mom, don't get me wrong, but my dad was my person. And it just felt so weird to be out there without him, you know, cheering me on. But even at 13, I had this greater feeling like, you know, that's not what dad would want for me. And so after I had a period of grieving and mourning, I returned to the ice. That was probably, honestly, one of the hardest days in my life. And it sounds silly, but it was, because I had to skate out into this new life that I hadn't planned or prepared for. You see, because as an athlete, you plan, you train, you prepare, you practice. But there wasn't planning or preparing or practicing for something like that. So it was a very hard day. And I continued to train. And it was like my Olympic dream was like, oh, it was like right there. Like I could see it and almost like I could reach out and touch it. But then as I was training a new jump called the triple Lutz, I blew out my knee. And I remember that day sitting in that room, and the orthopedic surgeon came in and he's like, well, I can put you back together, but it is my professional opinion that you don't ever skate again. This much damage to your knee and skating, because it was my landing leg, is like those two things just don't go together.
How old were you?
I was 18.
Okay.
So I made the decision to retire from competitive skating. And this is the part where it sounds like I'm bragging, but somebody once told me, well, Val, you know, it's not bragging if it's true.
Yeah.
That was a very hard transition. And then to watch somebody I had, Christy Yamaguchi and I were always rivals. We were like 1 and 2, 1 and 2, 1 and 2. And so then I was a senior in college, and to watch her during the 1992 Winter Olympics in Albertville, and watching her and wondering and questioning,
What if?
did I have what it takes? Would I've had the goods to skate the performance that you need to skate in that moment? But here's where it's been a whole lifetime of making mental shifts.
Yes.
And see what I did there?
Mm-hmm.
I decided that to take all of the lessons that I learned when I was small and growing up, built on that freezing cold ice at 5 o'clock in the morning, and use them to build myself into, a different version of myself. Maybe one that I never thought that I would do or be, but I've used all of those skills to make that shift and to allow myself to grow into a different, and dare I say, maybe even a better version of myself. And so now what I do is I teach other people how to do that.
And that's where the magic is.
Mm-hmm.
And as a coach, I mean, you've been around me enough to know that as a coach, it's one of the things I do is find the pain. What was the lesson from it? And how can you uplift other people so they don't have to? Sorry about that.
That's okay.
So they don't have to suffer through it also. And
Yes.
that's the magic in it. You wouldn't be the Val we're looking at right now, who's coaching other people and lifting people up and speaking on stages and sharing your story and moving people past their stuck points. You had an Olympic dream, and you could have easily, well, multiple things. Your father, who was your cheerleader, your person, went away very fast and tragic. And that was when you were going back and forth between the two towns, right? And one moment, please. Going through back and forth through time, through two different towns. So you had that the loss of your cheerleader, where you could have crumbled and given up. And then you went through all of that training, all that pain, that's pain. I'm sorry. That's a lot of ice time. That's a cold, cold way to live.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a choice that you made because of that determination, because of that performance in you. It's ingrained in you. It's part of your DNA. And then to hurt yourself in such a severe way that a doctor says, don't even think about skating anymore. You could have easily given up. But that's what the power of being a peak performer is.
Mm-hmm.
You are a peak. You are the perfect. You should be the picture in the dictionary of peak performer, because not only are you bouncing up, you're bouncing up and still striving forward. You're in my mind, you're an Olympian, because no matter what you do, you get up and you do your best, even in the tragic moments. I mean, your heart has been ripping apart. There's no way those 5 years before you lost your knee, between you losing your father and your knee, that you're like, da, 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 everything's fine. No, every time you hit the ice, your dad was with you.
Yeah.
And so you have overcome so much and held your head high that it is just, that's why I get tickled when you're like, oh, I want to be on your show. I'm like, oh my gosh, because you are the epitome of get up. And when I saw you call yourself the peak performance expert, you are. The thing is I have this weird thing. I don't shop at any place that has bad spelling. So like, Toys R Us, when they had the R backward, I wouldn't walk into the store. If I go to a dentist and they have like caps on their teeth or anything, or they have bad breath, I'll walk out. So there's things I do as a human that I judge on whether or not they're viable. When you call yourself a peak performance expert, oh, dang, yeah. Yes, she is. Because your life is proof and how you live every day. I mean, I've stalked your Facebook page, and when you're doing like, okay, we're going to do my morning workouts, and this is what I do. And then I do this. And then you jump up on the bar and you're like, pull yourself up. I'm like, oh my gosh, she is just a powerhouse. You are hurricane mixed with sunshine, because in all of that, you still have this amazingly beautiful smile on your face. And is that the performer in you? No, it's you. It's ingrained in you. It's who you are. And that's why I wanted to share you with my audience, because so often we see things and we compare ourselves, oh, there's no way I could never do that, or oh, I can't, or well, I did that, but oh no, never could. What I always instill in people is stop comparing, okay? Because no matter how tragic it is in one person's life, it could be smaller. It could, like with me, when my dog passed away, that shook me to my core. And so that messed me up. When my mother-in-law passed away, I wrote a book about her. I did a whole TED talk about her. To have a parent die, I can't fathom it. But here we are. You cannot compare the tragedy in each other's lives, because what is significant for one is not significant for the other, and vice versa, And here you are. I just love the fact that you are. I know it sounds really bad. I'm glad you kind of hurt your knee, because if you didn't, you wouldn't be giving back the way you are now. You would be somewhere else. I don't know what you would be doing, but you wouldn't be here, and you wouldn't have helped all those people that you've helped ever since. I mean, you're still a coach, right?
I am.
Exactly.
And to that point, I think the truest expression of healing is when you can look back and be thankful. Now, I'm not necessarily thankful that my dad died, but Michelle, it's been 37 years. I can't undo it.
And it still hurts.
And it still hurts. But I'm thankful. Here's what I am thankful for. I only had my dad for 13 years, but I had my dad for 13 years. And I am fully aware that some people don't have dads at all, or some people, I hate to say it, have really crappy dads.
Some of us are 52 and still don't know who. I mean, we know our dad, but kind of wish we didn't,
No, I hit the jackpot of dads, and I'm thankful for that time. I'm thankful for the time that I got to have with him. And I can't focus on what coulda, woulda, shoulda, hadda been. I can only take the lessons that he taught me. And I think the greatest gift my dad taught me, it was two things. The only thing you can truly control in life is your attitude.
Yep.
It is not what happens to you. It is your attitude about it. And the second super important thing that my dad taught me was, we were driving down from Sacramento to LA to go to a competitions. I had like an umpteen amount of siblings. Mom and dad were always, driving and going to and from. And on this particular competition, dad decided to drive me down to LA. So I got to have my dad for 9 hours, and he told me all the things. He told me about growing up and being a semi-professional hockey player, and being in the Marines, and how he met my mom. He just told me all the things, right? Dispersed this, life wisdom. And he said, and I remember him saying, Valley, he called me Valley. Valley, he said, I sure as hope to heck on the day that I die and I meet my maker and I look back on my life, I hope I get to choose to regret the things I did do, because if I chose wrong, I could always apologize, right? Versus the things I didn't get to do. And that was 37 years ago. And those words are still with me here, and they're here. And I know, like, if I could somehow talk to my dad now, what are the things that he regretted? And it seems very odd to me that I am now the same age that my dad was when he died.
Yeah, I found
Just
that.
like that. 37 years, it goes by so fast. And so now I realize, you know, when you're 13, 50 seems like, oh my God, you may as well be as old as dirt. But now I know how truly young he was. And, you know, he missed out on so much. And so I have tried to live my life, and I try to teach my clients, every check you have to write to regret, you have to cash in at some point, and it is going to hurt. So I have tried to live my life in a manner that when I meet my maker, I can choose to regret the things that I did versus the things that I didn't get to do. And I learned that from dad. So,
And that's beautiful, because here's my thing. Your father loved you immensely. The amount of time that, I mean, just to dedicate, for those of you who don't know, figure skating is a very expensive sport.
so expensive.
And to have that many children and still
Yeah.
say yes to this dream of this little girl saying, I want to do this.
Yeah.
Took immense love, care, and dedication, because the sacrifices they had to do in order to get you on that ice, and to
Yeah.
the coaches that you had. You lived a lifetime in that 12 years with him, because
Yeah.
I'm a bit jealous, because you lived a lifetime with this amazing man, and
Yeah.
there's no doubt that he loved you.
Yeah.
And so many of us, we had our dads with us all the time. And it was like, I don't think he'd really realize if I, dropped dead in front of him. I mean, that's
Yeah.
how ignoring it was. And to
Yeah.
hear a story of yours, and it's like, it hurts to know that he didn't make it with you for the rest of, the rest of your journey too.
Yeah.
But the amount of time is just, oh, I am so happy and envious. It's so these mixed emotions of, wow, you're lucky that you had immense time with him.
Exactly.
That he loved the ice, so that he brought you to the ice. So you got
Yeah.
to learn about it. I mean, just all the series of coincidences that aren't coincidences that happen that
Right.
led you down this path. And by staying on the ice, and at that young age to even decide to stay on the ice, was a testament to your maturity. That
Yeah.
he would want you on the ice. That's what he brought you to. He loved ice. He brought you, I mean, heck, he would have wanted you to even try to do hockey. I mean, he brought you to the ice because he knew you'd like it. And
Yeah.
you did. He was right. So by staying on the ice, you let his legacy live. And by coaching other people, you're also doing that, because that's what he was doing. He was coaching you. He was uplifting. He was,
Yeah.
it's just, you are the living legacy.
Yeah. For sure.
Yeah, that's just so cool.
Yeah.
I'm geeky like that, but dang, that's
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
For those of you who just stepped in and you're like, who is Michelle talking to today on Mental Shift? I am talking to Val Jones. And if you want to learn more about her, go to www.val, V-A-L, Jones, Jones, speaks, SPEAKS.com. And she's got a free quarterly magazine that comes out, and it's called Peak Performance. That's all I remember. Is there another name to it?
Champion mindset.
Champion Mindset. Okay,
Yeah.
I've got Peak Performance in my head, but
That's okay.
Mindset.
Mhm.
And go get it. And she's got a book coming out in the fall, but she is just an amazing woman. I can honestly see a movie being made out of her life. And seriously, we are so skirting the top of who she is on this, because we don't have a lot of time to dig deep. And that's why I look forward to having her back on in the fall, so we can talk more about her book and get a little deeper. But yeah, I just want to introduce you guys. Val Jones is here. Shh, it's Val. Anyways, she's a hero of mine. And she was just sharing about her story, and the crazy things that happened, how she, at 5 years old, decided she liked ice and wanted to be a professional skater, when the rest of us were playing jacks and, taking, what do you call it? Silly putty, and sticking it on cartoons. She was on the ice. Determined, knowing what she wanted to do as a grown-up. And it's like, wow, I didn't realize what I wanted to do till I hit about 45. So that determination, that drive, that if you're looking for a speaker, a coach, someone to you just need to connect with, that you need a lift, you need to talk to Val, because this is the woman who really, in the dictionary, as I said, should be the picture next to peak performer. because that's how she lives her life.
And I think, you know, when you find something that you are so passionate about, something that you love so greatly, something that is truly just congruent with who you are as a being, the discipline isn't that hard.
Yeah, it's not.
It's really not. When you find something that you truly, I mean, I honestly, there was no place else that I wanted to be. I wanted to be out on the ice. So even getting up at, 4:30 in the morning as a 6-year-old, it wasn't hard. So, if you can find the thing that
Sets you on
sparks,
fire. Yeah.
yeah, sparks your soul, and something that you just love so much, it does take discipline. And yes, there were mornings that I didn't want to get out of bed. And I tallied up a while ago, 36,000 hours. And that was just on ice training. That wasn't including off ice training. Um, uh, but I loved it. The discipline, there were days where it was hard, and the pain hurt. Ice, this is kind of a bad joke, but ice is hard. And when you fall on it, it hurts bad. Oh my gosh, I used to just have these huge bruises on my glutes and hips and thighs from falling.
Well, and you're skipping up in the air and falling, so you've got centrifugal force going when you hit too.
Yeah, it hurts. So, but it doesn't. The discipline, if it's congruent with what your soul
is craving.
Yeah, it comes easier, I guess.
Like me in the stage.
Yes.
I love the stage. I love microphones. I love to sing. I love to speak.
Yes.
And so that is my passion. And that's why I get teary when I hear your story about your father. Is I wanted to sing. I wanted to be an opera singer.
Yeah.
And I was told I couldn't. And so here I was at 5 doing, I want to be a singer. What kind of singer you want to be? I want to be an opera singer. No, you can't be an opera singer.
Yeah.
People color like you don't do that. You can't be a singer. And so I got immediately pushed down. And so when I hear of someone who had someone lift them up, it's like, oh, what if? And then you realize, wait a minute, I'm doing it. I found my way. It took me longer, but I found it, and I'm more mature and I can handle it now. And that's okay. And so that's what I always have to remember when I hear your story, because I get teary. I'm like, I wish I could have sang. I would have loved to sing. Oh, wait, I'm doing it. But I would have loved to do it at 5. But would it have become work to me at that point? And so I run about that and I do, you know what? I will encourage anyone I meet to do whatever they dream about being. I will never hold back. Like my children, told them to do whatever you want. What sets you on fire? Let's do it. And so I became the parent I wanted. And you became the parent you wanted and needed. And it made us, it hurt, but it made us better. And I'm saying this out loud right now to the audience, because if you have a past where you're thinking, I didn't have the support, or I didn't have that parent that, Val had a great, great parent, or Michelle had crappy parents, and that doesn't apply to me. Whatever it is in your past that you are letting hold you back, it is now your choice to change it. Now that it's in your awareness, you don't need to keep living as the kid that got held back or whatever, or held up. And I got held up, but I didn't even want to do that. Well, now it's your choice. It. Shift. This is mental shift. Find your shift. Find your passion. And that quote, find your passion. You'll never work a day in your life. Val found her passion. I found my passion.
And I'll be raw and honest with you and your audience. There, even still now, there are still times that my inner athlete, my inner competitor still asks, would I have had the goods? Did I have what it took to make it to that Olympic realm? And it's a question that has no answer. It will never have an answer. But here's what I've learned And it's not like, oh, look at me. I'm saying this is what I've seen other people do. The peakiest, is that even a word? I just made that
It
up.
is now.
The peakiest of peak performers that I have met and have worked alongside and worked with, they have taken that story and that tragedy and taken the ending that should have been into a new and different ending. And I couldn't, at 13 when I lost my dad, or 18 when I lost my Olympic dream, I couldn't have even fathomed what God or the universe or whatever it is that your audience believes in. I couldn't have fathomed that this is what it was going to be. And it's so much better, and it's so much bigger than I could have ever imagined. And so sometimes you don't get the ending that you want. But that doesn't mean that you can't have a better, happier, bigger ending. And it's just, it's choosing, it's consciously choosing, you know what, I haven't come this far to only come this far, you know? And back to what you were saying, I heard this once, that your tragedy and the lessons that you learned from it is the answer to somebody else's tragedy.
Which is why books are important. That's why speaking is important. We have to get those things out, because so many of us grew up thinking we were completely alone and only one experiencing this. And then, grew up thinking I was the only one who experienced it. And this is why I'm the way I am. And then when you start speaking or sharing your story, people do, wait a minute, that happened to me too. Well, no, that happened to me too. And they do, so I don't have to take that as the ending. No.
Right.
You are the author of your own story. Pick up the pen.
Yeah.
Finish it. Finish it.
Yeah. And it may be a totally different ending than you ever could have imagined. Oh, but it's so good. It's so good. It could be better.
Yeah, because we're in control of it now. Now it's choices. Before we let life happen.
Yeah.
Now we choose. And some things we can't control, but then we choose how we react to that too. And that's just how it is. And the peakiest, he said, the peakiest performers I've ever met have taken whatever tragedy, hardship, whatever they've gone through, and used it as stepping stones in order to move faster into the other direction, so that they could lift other people up and bring them along with them. Now, you are a speaker, you are a coach, you do coaching, like regular, like me kind of coaching.
Yep.
You do physical coaching.
I do that too.
That just blows my mind. You know how many different aspects of your brain you use to do that? A lot. Because there's the creative, there's that working side, there's the number side. I mean, there's different parts of you that you use, and you're using them all. You are a peak performer.
Yeah. But it's more than just a business plan. It's more than just a goal or a dream. It's a mission for me in my life to get as many people as I can to their peak performance, whatever that is for them, in business, in health, in whatever. And that's my mission. So it's super fun. I literally get giddy when my clients do something and achieve something that they swear they could never do in a million years. That is absolutely the highlight of my life and my career as a coach, is to get them to that point.
Yeah, to see that spark in their eye, do. Yeah, that's
magical. Every time, it's so magical.
Yeah, it's beautiful. I think I'm addicted to it, actually.
Oh, for sure. Oh, for sure.
But I forgot where I was going with this. I'm kind of fangirled on you right now. But with everything that's happened and everything that you do, and I want to say, who's your avatar? Who's your avatar client? Who would you say, if you're listening now, call me?
Well, I'm going to answer that kind of backwards. Who I'm not for, I'm not for people who are not willing to take a risk. Now, I'm not saying being reckless, like sell the house, sell the car, sell the kids. it's calculated risk. So you have to be risky. People who are not willing to get dirty and sweaty, at least philosophically, like you have to put in the work. I love working one-on-one with people, but if I want to move my message, if I want to impact and influence more people, I can't do it one person at a time. So I really enjoy, and I'm breaking into more of like the corporate arena, because if you have a leadership team of 10 or 20, that's me moving my message and influencing and impacting more people. So people who are just struggling, they're not achieving their goals, or they're just kind of like my dog chasing her tail, not ever getting it. So I love doing small group coaching. And there's something that's just wonderfully powerful about people who work together and are a bit competitive, and they feed off of each other.
Yes.
Not in a nasty, ugly competitive way, but in the theoretical sense of, iron sharpens iron. We're going to compete off of each other and make each other better. And I love those moments as well, because it's brilliant when you can feed off of your team and push each other.
Well, I saw that when you went to my writer's retreat. You're like, okay, this many pages. Okay, this many pages. Everyone's like, oh my gosh, she's writing so fast. And they're all sitting there trying to write more. It's like, no. Let Val be Val. You don't have to stress. Yeah, Val, she's got 10 pages. What? I'm going to work on 10 pages.
Yep.
We were feeding you lines, by the way. No one else was as fast as you.
Well, I've come to just accept the fact that being a competitor isn't what I do. It's who I am.
Yeah,
it's who I've always been. I mean, I time myself, like I washed my car the other day and I got it done in 32 minutes. And that was a 10-minute PR for the win.
Well, I want to ask you another question about coaching. I know we don't have a lot of time, but I'm
Okay.
curious about this. In my coaching practice, I tend to bring apart, I don't coach this part of it, but I always say, what are you doing for your health? So here we are working on your mind, but my belief is your mind is connected to your body, mind, body, soul. So if you are, enlightening your mind and then feeding your body junk, you're counteracting it all.
Mm-hmm.
So how do you feel about that?
So let me tell you about one of my clients, Robert. Not his real name, everything else is real. He was 53 years old. He'd been married for 20 some odd years, had 3 kids. He was the CEO of a multi-million-dollar organization. He was overworked, overweight, overstressed. He gets on a plane and goes into cardiac arrest. And he actually flatlined, and they were able to bring him back. He spent, let me go back just a second. He told me that his marriage was on the rocks, and he was completely disconnected with his children. He was just on the email and on, 24/7. And after his heart attack, he spent 9 months in rehab after a quadruple bypass. And so here's what I tell my clients. How important do you think his marketing strategy was at that point? Or his sales pipeline? Do you think any of that mattered? No. If this doesn't work, nothing else will. And I watched my dad die as proof of that. If this doesn't work, Michelle, nothing else will work. And you don't have to be an Olympic athlete. It comes down to hydration and nutrition, exercise. You don't have to be an Olympic athlete. I never want to be the CrossFit coach or the fitness coach who is like, ooh, you have to do this or you're not working out. No, move your body through time and space. I don't care what it is. I don't care if it's hiking or rock climbing or tennis, or I don't care if you turn up the 80s music on full blast and dance with your significant in the kitchen for 30 minutes. I don't care. Just move your body get proper sleep, and get this in check. If you do all of those things, now, I mean, statistics show that there's 100% mortality rate amongst human beings. That might be new information for your audience. I'm not sure, but
no
we
one's
all
getting out of this alive. Yes, we understand.
we all will meet our maker, but if it doesn't work, it doesn't matter. And here's the biggest truth bomb I could ever drop. And I've seen it in my own life, and I've seen it with clients. You either make room, and by room, I do mean time and money. You either make room for health and fitness, or chances are life will force you to make room for illness. And it's not cheap. It is not cheap. I've had 5 surgeries in 5 years. My hip replacement alone, it was covered almost entirely by insurance, but my hip replacement alone was 6 figures.
Yeah, I know.
So you have to make room, because if this doesn't work, Michelle, nothing else works, and nothing else will matter. How much money do you think my mom and my family would have paid to have my dad here today? You can't put an amount on that. So yes, you hit on a very passionate point of performance for me. And here's the thing, when I think about all the peak performers, the CEOs and the Elon Musks and all the people, they all take very good care of themselves.
Majorly, yeah.
They think, act, and train like an Olympic athlete, because they understand the power of having this work.
And from my past experience, just the past 5 years since my car accident and my breast cancer, my brain injury, I said, just give me back my brain and my ability to speak. I don't care about anything else. That's all I need. And then I got breast cancer and my body shut down. And basically it was like God and the universe doing. And so now what do you think about the body? I was like, okay, I want my body too. I need my body to move my brain and my mouth so I can keep doing what I want to do. And so that's when I started really worrying about me.
Yeah.
The shell. I kept saying it's just a shell. It doesn't matter. But what was important was I had to keep the shell as healthy as possible so I can keep doing my mission. My mission is to take the veils off as many people as possible. Anyone who can hear me or see me, whatever it is, I have to do as many people. I have to reach as many. And if my body gives out on me, that diminishes. And I mean, I noticed I can still do a lot of it by Zoom, but it's not the same as on stage where I can reach thousands at a time. Yeah. And my journey has been, I went very cognizant about how I ate and then how I moved, because I had to worry about eating first because I was so large, it hurt to move. Mm-hmm. Then, so when I got my weight down about 80 pounds, then I started worrying about what I ate. And then when I started worrying about what I ate, then I could move a little bit more. And so it just slowly just started moving. And then they cut me up 7 times for things with my cancer. But it still takes dedication. When you have surgeries, and it, when you have surgeries, you could easily have let everything go, your food, everything, and you could have gained a ton of weight. I learned that with my brain injury. I gained a ton of weight. Yeah. But you can be cognizant and still actually become healthier after your surgeries because you are so determined to heal. And that was my bigger thing. I needed to heal and I needed to heal well. And so, yes, that's a very touchy point for me because my thing is do whatever you need to do to get healthier.
Do it.
Do it.
The good news, the follow-up is Robert has lost like 75 pounds. He is showing up for his children. He's going to the soccer games. He has reignited the passion in his marriage. And we have built him up over the last 3 years, like a 5K and then a 10K and then a half marathon.
Running.
And this year he's training for a full marathon. I'm so proud of him. Oh, and by the way, his little company has made the most money that they've ever made in the last 3 years. He has blown his numbers out, and he is present for his family. And so
whole show up. He showed up completely.
Yeah.
It's magical. And it's a very difficult subject to approach with clients because they do. No, I'm not going to do that. Let's just work. Let's get me to step, A, B,
Yeah.
C, D. And it's like, at some point, you're going to have to look at the other parts of you.
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't want to. And so
Yeah.
I was curious about that, because you
Yeah.
are a fitness human and
Yeah.
a mindset human and attitude. And I'm like, we talk about the same things. You approach them differently, but we do talk about the same things. And even
Yeah.
my clients are saying, that's when you described your perfect client was what you don't want. That's how
Uh,
I do. I say,
yeah.
if you want someone to coddle you, don't
No.
come here.
No,
If
don't let the sweet face fool you. I'm
Don't let
actually kind of mean.
don't let the smile fool you. But if you want someone to hold you to
No.
the grindstone and keep you moving and putting you on deadlines and making sure it happens and making sure you're smiling at the end of each one of them, I'm your girl. And so
Man.
that's why I was saying you are a hurricane with a little bit of sunshine, and that you are my friend, and that I'm so glad you're in my world. And yes, I am still fangirling about you because you are so awesome. And
Back at you.
I know we're fangirling. And everyone out there, if you're out listening and you know someone who could hear this story and they could really benefit from it, or if someone you need, or you or someone you know needs to connect with Val, do so. Okay. Her website is www.valjonespeaks, ValJonesSpeaks.com. She's got a free quarterly magazine that you can grab while you're there, and keep an eye out for her book. I'm going to have her on the podcast again when her book gets published, because we're going to pump that up.
Yeah.
And we're talking to Val Jones. She's a professional figure skater, which is holy crap, crazy, wow, and she's a peak performance expert. If you need her, find her. You've met her. This is her. I mean, I've met her on stage, off stage, behind the scenes, at retreats. This is her. There is no fakeness about Val. And that's the other part that I love about her. So highly recommended to reach out to her. Val, thank you so much for your time. I really do appreciate it.
Michelle, thank you for having me. I hope, our conversation has driven your audience to search out the best version of themselves. And girl, you are amazing. You're fabulous. My favorite story of all time is ordinary people doing extraordinary things. And you, my sweet friend, you're pretty extraordinary.
Thank you so much. Everyone, thank you so much for joining us on Mental Shift. And please look up Val, because you will be blown away when you hear more and more about her story. Have a great week, everyone. And until next time, be the best version of you.